creates offense?
Defense.
What creates defense?
Offense.
No, the goal in the back of the net.
It's been a half decade of dominance in the conference from this golf team, Thomas. You have them in the C tier. What are we doing?
I'm
4 out of the last
expecting a
5 years they've won the
championship
championship.
Talk about the present stuff. And, well, actually, I'm going to talk about the past right now.
At least if you're gonna pick a trap game, pick the right ones.
I don't know if anyone knew. She just got a Barbie. And to me, if you get a Barbie, that means you've made it in life. So, I mean, Alona Mari.
Are you ready for some debate? Because Bobcat Breakdown starts right now.
Good evening and welcome into Studio 125 for tonight's episode of Bobcat Breakdown. I'm your host, Miranda Putorti, and next to me are Seb Lopes and Spencer Decker. How are we feeling tonight, guys?
I mean, Seb, how about that pre-show? That was Steven Spielberg-esque.
Yeah, the baseball toss was awesome, but I'm ready to go.
Yeah,
All right, well, before we get fully into it, QBSN has the highlights from spring sports that are just starting to bloom here in Hamden.
Once again, not able to, so the ball just moves up towards the top of the key off the pass. Peyton Choma. Choma over to Mia Delmond. Delmond to Brie Provenzano. Provenzano back to Delmond. Delmond paves her way towards the net, fires one into the back of the net.
Martin ready to pitch. Runners on first and second. First pitch. That'll be skied high. It is back. It is 4. And that one is gone. Kennedy DeMott.
So outside is the call. 2-2 from the stretch. West throws. Park. Contact. It gets down. Runner rounding third. Can the throw home get there in time? It is bobbled. This game is tied.
Here's one to Miller Ayala. She's able to corral that one. Gives off to Delmond on the near side. Delmond to Provenzano. Back to Anna Givens at the top. Towards the inside. Looking for Julia Givens to Emma Miller Ayala! She ties it up!
2-1 count now to Ramada. Bobcats dugout absolutely fired up. West fires one in there. Ramada cranks one. Will it go? It is off the top of the wall and gone. An absolute blast from Braden Ramada and his first home run of his NCAA career. It is a Bobcats lead.
Staying on the topic of spring sports, the Quinnipiac Bobcats are the early frontrunner for MAC softball this season, holding a current conference record of 10-1. With the Bobcats opening their home slate with a sweep of Niagara and Merrimack, do you believe this softball squad is a legit contender for the MAC? Seb, let's start this one off with you.
I don't think so, just because I'm scared. I'm scared that there's going to be a fall off and that it's a trick. I've been a fan of too many sports teams that just trick me, and with softball, I just feel like the pitcher ERAs are just way too high. They're all over 5 heading into today before the doubleheader today. It was a 5.15, a 6, and a 12.25 across just 3 starting pitchers. So what I'm also scared about is that they're just going to get fatigued and way too tired, only having 3 pitchers on the staff.
Yeah, absolutely. If we're talking about, like, if they're going to win the MAC championship, I think that's out of reach because just how good Mara's program is. But Sofia Vega is hitting .446 with a 1.1 OPS. That is Ted Williams on the softball field right now for the softball team. And Seb, to back up your point, I've got a great quote from Archie Griffin. It's not about the size of the dog in the fight, but about the size of the fight in the dog. And right now, this Quinnipiac softball team, they may not have the superb talent, but they're winning games. And it's super important to still win those games against bad teams. You can go out and lose those games against bad teams, and that was their problem last year. They lost a lot of those games against the lower teams in the conference. They're 10-1, and 2 of those wins against Iona, who's a very good team. Oh, I believe they hosted the softball championships 2 years ago, so they're consistently at the top of the MAC. And I mean, Seb, they were right fourth in the poll. They went to Iona and swept them. So absolutely, this team is, I don't know about contenders, you could say, but they're on a hot streak, and that's for a reason. I mean, you can't just win 10 out of 11 for no reason at all.
What I can agree with you on is that they definitely probably will finish with that winning conference record, but once it comes to trying to make noise in the tournament in the MAC or in the NCAA tournament or anything like that, it's just not going to happen, I don't feel like. The road ahead before the doubleheader today was Merrimack, Ryder, Manhattan, Fairfield, Fordham, Marist, Mount, and Shoe. 4 of those 5 teams in the MAC are just going to stay dangerous. They're always going to be a top contender. And I also want to point out that I just don't feel softball had scored enough runs again, these numbers are coming into the doubleheader today. On the season, they trailed 91 to 127 in runs scored, and they're 5th in the conference in runs scored, hits, 7th in homers, and 6th in RBIs.
I will say,
so I just feel those offensive numbers just aren't there.
6 out of their 9 players in the lineup right now hitting over 300. It's obviously great. It comes back to the pitching. I'm obviously concerned about the pitching. A couple of first years that are pitching out there, and not really players with lots of experience. A couple transfers as well. They don't really have a true strong depth piece in their pitching staff, but if the offense can continue to play like they are and have a hitter that's almost hitting 450, they absolutely can make some noise.
All right, well, moving from one diamond to the other, the Quinnipiac baseball team has not seen the same success as softball has, currently sitting 12th out of 13 in the MAC with a 2-4 conference record. It begs the question, what is going wrong for Coach John Delaney's team right now? Spencer, you can take this one.
Yeah, so let's just look at the roster turnover. 19 players returned this year, 16 new players on this Bobcats team. That not only messes with the team flow, but also the team chemistry, Seb. Just to also have a lot of first years in this lineup. John Delaney talked in his press conference how he was trying to get so many first years involved, and during one of his conference games, he had 5 first years in the lineup. That's a lot, Seb, to have this team, what it looked like last year with graduates like Johnny Knox going away, and to have all these first years coming in. They have only one hitter over 300 right now, so in my opinion, just getting these rookies adjusted to the ball, and their one player that is hitting over 300 is Caden Williamson, a first year who's come in. Some players need to step up, and also Christian Smith, a rough start. He's been going through an injury. He came back, and he was only hitting 215. Did get a home run today in the non-conference against, Rhode Island, but I think the hitting and just getting adjusted to D1 baseball right now is their problem.
It's a good point. Today they even struggled with newcomers. They had 2 fresh first years that had never pitched before, never made an appearance, and they still struggled on the mound.
Yeah.
So my main point is pitching. Pitching just needs to step up. Can you answer this question? Can Andrew Rubio start just every game for the Bobcats?
Right. How about him?
He's unreal for the Bobcats so far this season, of 3.90 earned run average. And it's just, again, like I said in softball, it's an ERA issue for the Bobcats on the baseball diamond. And these midweek games are also an issue because they're typically non-conference games and they don't matter. So who do you throw out there to start games? And if you want to put Andrew Rubio on the mound more, how do you shake that up? Because most of the games that matter are those MAC series on the weekends. Do you throw Rubio for 3 or 4 innings on a Friday, rest him Saturday, and then try and get a start from him on Sunday and just see how that goes?
Yeah, I mean, with Rubio, I think he's been established as a Sunday starter now. I don't think John Delaney really wants to play him outside of that. For a college athlete to pitch twice in a week like that, it's pretty rough. But also, in a game like today, we talked to John Delaney last week in these non-conference matchups. They're just trying to get first years adjusted to the game. I think this Bobcats team has a strong bullpen. They have J.C. Franconeer, Matt Alduino closing out games. Is a very strong closer in the MAC. Their starting pitching really isn't all that bad if you look at Rubio. Sam Wright goes up and down. He's played some tough appearances. Obviously, his ear raised into 8th right now. And also, Nick Balcom comes in every now and then. I think the bullpen is fine where it is right now. When you get into the MAC playoffs where you're playing consistent games, maybe it can become a problem, but they have enough depth, I believe.
All right, well, a strong start to the debate tonight from both of you, but it's time for our first commercial break of the night. Stay tuned, though, because when we return, Spencer and Seb will be going through all of their bracket predictions for the NCAA Men's Ice Hockey Tournament. Don't go anywhere.
Anybody want a package?
Don't worry, sir, baby. I got you.
And you want to breathe.
He got into some sloppy situations.
Uncle Aaron's locked up for touching all those kiddos.
Here comes the boom.
Quinnipiac Tonight is Q30's premier sketch comedy show. Watch it live every other Thursday at 9:30 in the Piazza, or tune in online at q30tv.com/watch.
Clap if you care.
Buckle up! Nobody is more prepared for an emergency than Dogman.
With all your kung fu skills and your canine fortitude or whatnot.
But for the rest of us, a good plan goes a long way.
Come on, let's go!
So, whether it's an unexpected disaster or the world's most evilest cat bent on destroying all do-gooders,
Destroy all do-gooders!
you can help your family be ready for anything.
No time to waste. Will you get out of here?
Get started today at ready.gov/kids.
Hamden to Hollywood.
We are your source for Quinnipiac's entertainment news.
Thank you for sticking with us here on Bobcat Breakdown. With the men's ice hockey conference champions being named across the country this past weekend, it's time to officially start this year's road to the Frozen Four in Las Vegas, Nevada. The NCAA released its regional matchups on Sunday, so it seems only fitting for these two to predict who will make it to the regional finals and advance to the Sin City, and even who will take home that national championship. Starting upstate in Albany, New York is number 1 Michigan facing off against Bentley, and Minnesota Duluth against Penn State. Seb, give us your first regional outcome.
Yeah, so Michigan's taking that game 1. They're just simply the best team in the nation right now, and it's been proven time and time again. TJ Hughes, Michael Hage, Will Horkoff, they're all firing. Minnesota Duluth is taking that second regional semifinal over Penn State. I just feel that they're just a better team. They're the top 3 PK and power play in the nation, and Penn State gives up they're number 1 in the nation in the most penalty minutes. And then in that regional final, Michigan's taking it. They just have the goaltending and the team right now.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely thinking off mine. Michigan, as you said, best team in the nation. There's no doubt about that right now. They're playing their best hockey. They have TJ Hughes, who's just an absolute great player on the ice. However, I think that when you have that counteracting point, Penn State's power play, I mean, what a great power play they have, really do. When you have somebody like Gavin McKenna, Aiden Fink on the same line, Aiden Fink reminds me a lot of a Quinnipiac player. No draft pick, but he plays with, a chip on his shoulder. He's out there a lot. I think Penn State takes that, and then Penn State upset Michigan. I know you're not going to like that whatsoever, Seb, but Penn State just has so much talent. They're a sleeper team. They lost to Michigan in the Big Ten semifinals. I think they get the job done when it matters the most.
It's just kind of crazy that Penn State's number 1 in the nation in penalty minutes given up, and you still take them over a team that's top 3 in both special teams.
Well, listen, I think they have a great power play as well. I think it's just, that's going to be a dogfight, Michigan-Penn State. There's no doubt about it. Obviously, Michigan won 5-2. I think it's going to be a lot closer, though, when the NCAA
almost all of these
around.
regionals are.
Right.
All right, well, Seb, I'm going to have to agree with you on that Michigan pick, but traveling west to Colorado in the Loveland Regional is number 4 Western Michigan versus Minnesota State, and Denver taking on ECAC foe Cornell. Spencer, who's winning this region?
Yeah, this is one of the tougher ones. Western Michigan, I'm sorry. They had their run. They're still competing at the top. Minnesota State's playing great hockey right now. They really are. I think they're going to upset Western Michigan. It's 2 great teams playing out west. You also have Denver playing Cornell. I think that with the Loveland Regional being in Denver, it's so tough. Obviously, you try to have it as neutral as you possibly can, but Denver's playing in Loveland. I mean, you can't really argue that point. Denver to beat Cornell, I think the Cornell is probably the worst team in the ECAC that made it to the tournament. And Denver to do it, just because Denver's playing in Denver, you can't excuse that whatsoever to have that home ice advantage. Well, they're playing out in Colorado, I should say. They're playing in that region, but at the same time, they're playing so close to their home, that matters a lot in postseason play.
I'm sorry, Minnesota State over Western Michigan?
That's absolutely right.
Western Michigan's just a better team overall, and they play in a better conference. They've been tested by way better teams in St. Cloud State, Denver, Duluth, Nodak, 3 of those teams in the regional. So
Wisconsin's a better team than High Point, but look what happened in March Madness.
And then my second regional semifinal of that one, I'm taking Denver over Cornell. Denver said best on the selection show on Sunday. They just don't lose this time of year around.
Right.
And that's why I'm taking them in the regional final as well. Give me the Denver Pioneers. 10 national championships, the most in NCAA college hockey. They haven't missed a tournament since the 2020-21 season. And before that, they hadn't missed since 2007. And they've also just won games way too convincingly this season.
They always find a way.
Yeah.
Eric Polkamp's great, too. Great player.
Well, I'm going to have to agree with Denver there, but turning our attention back to the east with the Worcester, Massachusetts Regional. The teams here are number 3 Michigan State against UConn, and other ECAC foe Dartmouth taking on against Wisconsin. Seb, you're up again with this one.
It pains me to say, but Michigan State is winning that first game. They just have to turn it on again, right? They had such a disappointing end to the regular season. Trey Augustine has to find his form once again. In the last 4 games, he's allowed 12 goals with 1 tie, 2 losses, and only 1 win. But they're just too good of a team for the road to end here over the UConn Huskies. And then in the second regional semifinal, I'm taking the Dartmouth Big Green. I want the upset. I really, really do. I'm riding the hot hand. They're 4th in scoring margin, 6th in power play, 2nd on penalty kill. Hayden Stavroff, best in the nation, most goals scored, most goals per game, and they also have the better goalie, Emmett Crote, 3rd best in the nation in goals against average. And then in that regional final, again, very much so pains me because I want to pick the Dartmouth upset, but it's Michigan State.
Well, Sam, I'm happy we agree because I have the same exact regional as you. Michigan State really is that good. And I think Trey Augustine's one of those players that feeds off the playoff environment. Obviously, for Michigan State, it hasn't gone all that well for them. Listen to John Bucci-Gross talk about college hockey. I think it's Michigan or Michigan State to win this championship. I obviously Michigan I have falling a little earlier, but Michigan State's one of those teams. They're going to face Dartmouth, and as much as I'd like to see the Big Green advance, and Hayden Stavrov is a great player, that's why I think they beat Wisconsin because of Hayden Stavrov and how he's performed this season. But I have Michigan State going to the Frozen Four.
Well, we all completely agree here on desk, but rounding out the regionals is Sioux Falls, South Dakota, consisting of number 2 North Dakota versus Merrimack, and Providence taking on Quinnipiac. Spencer, are the Bobcats making it out of this?
Yeah, I want to ask Seb a question. I saw a stat this weekend. Do you know Quinnipiac's record in the playoffs past the Mississippi River out west?
No, I don't.
They're 0-2. They haven't won ever. So obviously in limited opportunities, but they're not going to beat Providence this time around. It's a really weird matchup. Two teams that haven't played in such a long time. Both teams did not go very far. Providence not making it far into Hockey East. Quinnipiac did not go far into ECAC. And North Dakota, I mean, I know Merrimack had a crazy run as an 8th seed in the Hockey East tournament. I believe it ends. I think a lot of people sleep on North Dakota because they're not one of the 3 Big Ten teams that are seeded in this tournament. They're obviously playing in the NCHC, but I like North Dakota a lot. Their only flaw, they don't have a top 20 goal scorer, which I think could be fluttered a little bit differently, but I like North Dakota. I think they advance.
That's bad news bears for the Bobcats.
It is.
In the first regional game, I have North Dakota taking that one. I would love to see the Cinderella story. It pained me not to pick Merrimack again, like I picked Dartmouth. I want that Cinderella team. And after winning the Hockey East, I just felt something about them, but they just can't fall to NODAC. NODAC's the number 2 best team in the nation. And then I have Quinnipiac beating Providence. Again, Quinnipiac, just like Michigan State, it can't end here, right? The Quinnipiac Bobcats were very disappointing to end that final game of the season and that final matchup with the Clarkson Golden Knights. It just can't end there, right? Like, I had shower thoughts about this today. Like, it reminds me of the New York Mets and how much star power they have on that team, and it all fell off in this past season.
I'm going to have to cut you off there so we can move on to Las Vegas and the Frozen Four. So, Seb, who do you have advancing to the national championship and taking it all home?
In the semifinal games, I have Michigan first. Again, just bias aside, they are the best team in the nation right now. And watching that third period against OSU, they went in 3-3 tied into that third period and then wound up winning 7-3, and they just exploded. Couple beautiful goals, one walk-through, and then a 5-hole goal between the goalie's legs. And then in that second semifinal, I have North Dakota knocking off Michigan State. Finally, that green team of Michigan State is off my screen, and I don't have to worry about them winning a championship. And then in the final, play Mr. Brightside, give me the Wolverines.
Yeah, I mean, a little chalky with the 1 versus 2 there, Seb. I absolutely, you can't really go wrong. Michigan hasn't won a title in so long. John Bucci-Gross said
1998.
I think it just has to happen eventually, right? Unfortunately, obviously, I got Penn State in my regional, defeating Denver to go into the national championship. They made their first Frozen Four last season. I think they get a step up in the championship. They play against Michigan State. Michigan State, North Dakota. If this game doesn't go to overtime, I'd be very surprised. It's really one of those games where it goes either way, Seb. And Penn State, Michigan State, the battle of the Big Ten on the line. Trey Augustine carries his team to a championship, puts up a big game in the national championship to win Michigan State the title.
There's no way you have Penn State all the way to the final game of the tournament.
Well,
Penn
State, Denver, 2 unseeded teams.
At least they're not winning it. I know you're a Penn State fan by heart, being from Pennsylvania,
Yes.
but I'm putting my Michigan bias aside, and they're just the best team in the nation.
They
You
have the
said it.
consensus number 1 pick. So.
Well, I have Michigan in the final against the Quinnipiac Bobcats, but only time will tell if these predictions will be correct. And speaking of that, it's time to take our second break of the night. Stick around as there will be more discussion of the NCAA Men's Ice Hockey Regionals coming up.
The go-to Quinnipiac news source for students by students. We've got the latest on campus news, student life, and stories all around the country. Get to know your local community with features on Hamden businesses and politics. Everything you need to know, all in 30 minutes. Wednesdays at 9:30, reporting for the Quinnipiac community.
I'm Melissa Sheehan. I'm Sophia DeBona.
I'm Amari Smith.
I'm Christina Semenis. I'm Riley Farrell.
I'm Andrew Allison.
I'm Miranda Putorti.
We are the Q30 Newscast.
Left for Vidicek. Vidicek walking in. Shot. Save made. Rebound. Score!
Did you miss this goal last night? No worries. We got you covered.
Antonin Varro gets the puck to Ethan Winbach in front of the net. He puts it past Alvin Peya.
Every team, every game.
She shoots it blocker side into the net.
All the news, highlights, and more.
First year connection. Ty Turner to Keith McKnight.
This is Sports Pause, Monday nights at 9:30, only on Q30 Television.
Welcome back to Bobcat Breakdown. If you're just joining us, I'm Miranda Putorti, and next to me are Seb Lopes and Spencer Decker. For our last question of the night, we previously looked at all the teams in the NCAA men's ice hockey regionals, but let's delve deeper into the Quinnipiac men's ice hockey team. Last season, the Bobcats were stilted in their first regional game, falling 4-1 to the Yukon Huskies. Do you think that Sioux Falls was the best regional for them to draw to not repeat last season? Spencer, start this one off.
All right, Seb, there's two ways you can take this question. Location and competition. Off location, absolutely not. Who wants to go to Sioux Falls, South Dakota in the cold weather like this, especially with North Dakota being relatively close? It's still a 4-hour drive, but NODAC has the advantage. I think with competition, there's some good competition. I think they would have favored in the Albany Regional, though, absolutely. I mean, look at all the other regionals you could have played in. Fargo compared to Bridgeport, Connecticut, obviously, a regional win where they've won many times. Past the Mississippi River said, look, Loveland, Colorado, Fargo, North Dakota, they haven't won, so I don't know how this is an advantage for them to go to Sioux Falls.
I didn't realize it was that big of bad news bears for the Bobcats, and that's how bad it is. But absolutely, yes, 1,000%, this is the best regional they could have possibly had. There was no chance they won another game in any other regional, all right? Going through all the regionals, they can beat Providence. Again, it's going to be disappointing if a team with this much star power, this much firepower, can't click one more time this season and pick up just one more win over a Providence squad that hasn't played just like the Bobcats since March 14th. So the Bobcats are very lucky about that. The second game scares me, absolutely. They're not going to get past North Dakota. I'm sorry, Miranda. They're not making it even to Vegas, much less to the final and the Natty. But they just can't get past NODAC. NODAC has too much firepower. They're just too good. And even if they went up against Merrimack...
competition or not,
all right,
I just think
I got to cut you guys off there. That was some exciting debate, but that's where it will end as we head into our final break of the night. But stay put as Seb, Spencer, and I will have our final roars when we return. Bobcat Breakdown, we'll be right back.
Elmer loves to giggle. Elmer's mommy told him that laughing can help when you have a big feeling, like when you feel happy. Make sure to celebrate when you're happy and laugh it out. Love your mind.
Everyone has a ritual. That small thing we do to keep us focused.
But what do you do to keep your head in the game?
To drown out the self-doubt and support your mental health.
Because being your best isn't just about taking care of your body.
It's about taking care of your mind and mental health. Find the resources you need to keep your mental health a priority.
Love your mind.
Welcome back to Bobcat Breakdown. It's time to give our final roars, and I'll start us off. There is no greater joy for a hockey fan than playoff time, and after the Quinnipiac men's ice hockey team's disappointing loss to Clarkson in the ECAC hockey quarterfinals, all eyes turned to the NCAA selection show, anxiously awaiting the fate of the at-large bid the team's MPI ranking earned them. If you asked around campus or checked tweets on X, the hope was either for Albany or Worcester. And the Bobcats punched their ticket to Sioux Falls, South Dakota, arguably the worst outcome simply by location. The dream of a home crowd seemed dead before arrival, but maybe it isn't. 3 of the 19 skaters anticipated to hit the ice for Quinnipiac are no strangers to the Denny Sanford Premier Center, playing for the Sioux Falls Stampede in the USHL. Tyler Borgala and Chris Pelosi from 2022 to 24, and the Hobie Baker hopeful himself, Ethan Wittenbach, in 24-25. The series against Clarkson saw key players such as Pelosi and Wittenbach not playing to their standard set this season and led to their demise. These two are the ones that need to step up and get Quinnipiac firing on all cylinders early. While maybe not the strongest of the 4 regionals, the Bobcats can't get complacent with their play if they want to make it out and give the 3 Sioux Falls alumni their first NCAA playoff win. With Wittenbach and Pelosi, 2 guys from New York and New Jersey, a homecoming game in the Midwest seemed improbable. But home is subjective, and with the history this Bobcats lineup has in Sioux Falls, it might be the extra spark this squad needs to punch their ticket further west and farther into the NCAA tournament, putting them in true contention for their second national championship.
It's become an annual tradition every year. Playoff time rolls around in college sports, and it's the same talks: who deserves to be in and who should be left out. More often than not, the answer from the people in power is the same. Keep it with the big conferences. The SEC and Big Ten Conference continue to push for more representation, fewer spots for mid-majors, insanely minimal chances for smaller programs, a much tighter circle. But here's where they go wrong. You can't measure heart by conference affiliation. Time and time again, the so-called smaller programs show up big time in the spotlight. Furman Paladins and the St. Louis Billikens didn't just sneak into the conversation. They earned their way to the 2025 Men's College Cup before each falling in the semifinals. The Coastal Carolina Chanticleers made noise on one of the biggest stages in baseball, making the Men's College World Series Finals. Not even looking far, this past weekend there were multiple upsets in March Madness, and even the Siena Saints of the MAC nearly knocked off the #1 Duke Blue Devils. They even led by 11 at halftime, as well as being within 4 points in the final minute of play. That's not luck. That's not coincidence. It's being counted out, overlooked, doubted, and wanting to prove people wrong. That's competition. That's heart. That's wanting it more. That's exactly what college sports should be. It's the underdog with nothing to lose, the team no one gave a chance, a time where rankings mean nothing, and for every small or mid-major player, the names on the front of the jersey mean the world. If we keep shrinking the field and pushing these programs out, we're limiting moments of magic. Those moments are why we watch.
Through tribulation in every sport you watch, the main focus, as we all know, is the players. The coaches will tend to play a big part of the game, and there is a slim chance fans can make an impact. However, a part of sports that are simply never respected are the referees. For the refs, there may be a brief mention on the broadcast about the names of the people they call zebras, but outside of that, when do you hear about them? Well, author Drew Curtis said it well: you don't notice the referee until they make a bad call. Unless something drastic happens to them, that quote is simply true. Along with our criticization, they also are judged no matter what on a day-to-day basis. Look at baseball, for example. Pages like umpire scorecards release the stats on how an umpire performed the night before. If an umpire had a bad game, everybody knows about it because of social media. In football, there are videos put out every week of how bad the calls are on the field. And in soccer, every player on the pitch can go directly over to a referee and argue physical contact to try and earn a free kick. And that's just from the players. Coaches do it just as much as the players. Look at UConn's own Dan Hurley. In the last 2 seasons alone, he's received 12 technical fouls and has received fines for physically contacting referees on the sideline while arguing. Outside of the professional level, parents have gotten into fights with referees over youth games, taking away the fun for the game from a kid. Sports are full of passion, which brings out the anger and dedication from everyone involved. Coach Matt Dennis said it well, that I've yet to coach a perfect game, and I'm certain there aren't many referees who think they've officiated a perfect game. Referees are human just like you, and we make the wrong call from time to time. So if you're a coach, player, or just a fan, make the right call yourself and respect the people wearing white and black.
All right, well, we know what your predictions were on the outcome of the game, but can I get a score prediction for this Quinnipiac-Providence game on Thursday?
Yeah, I think it's a low-scoring game. I'm going to go 2-1.
Yeah, it's definitely low-scoring. It's going to be a game of finding your legs again. Again, both teams haven't played since March 14th. 3-2 to the Bobcats.
Okay, I can
just
see
edging
that.
it
I
out.
can see that. I think Providence and Quinnipiac, 2 teams, as we mentioned, had not played much at all. I think that scoring drought's going to continue to persist.
They played to a 2-1 exhibition game where the Bobcats fell, so it's just going to be 3-2 probably.
How many people scoring in that game? From
Wittenbach,
I guess you could
Wittenbach has to find something again. He probably gets 2, and let's go Pelosi.
I can see a Tyler Borgula goal. Just came back from the ECAC playoffs from injury. I could see that happening.
All right, well, those are the 3 Sioux Falls guys, but that's all the time we have here for Bobcat Breakdown. For the latest updates in Quinnipiac sports, follow us on Instagram and X at Q30 Sports and on our website at Q30TV.com. Thank you to the producers and everyone working hard to put the show together. For Sub Lopes and Spencer Decker, I'm Miranda Putorti. Have a great night, Bobcats.